friends, humans, Disney fans, lend me your ears. On today's episode, I have two very special guests, and we are going to talk all about the rise of Skywalker. Let's chat. Hey everybody, Melanie here from Lend Me Your Ears, and today we are talking all about Star Wars, particularly Rise of Skywalker, which just hit theaters this past weekend. And with me today, I have two very esteemed guests. I have here on my left, Tyson, and I have here on my right, Stormtrooper Alex. Alex, do you think they can see you now?
Maybe.
Or is it like the Mandalorian, we're not allowed to take it off?
No, don't do it.
Okay. Right. This is the real Alex. All right, guys. You can hold on to that. We've all seen The Rise of Skywalker. Once, right?
Yes, once.
No one has seen it more than once.
Correct.
We have thoughts, and the reason why I had Tyson and Alex on today is because they are both Star Wars experts, and they tend to have varying views of opinion. So, we might get into some debates today. If it gets all Lord of the Flies, I brought our conch, so if we start talking over each other, it's like whoever's holding the conch gets to talk, all right? Do we agree? Yes?
Agreed.
I would call myself not a Star Wars expert, but more of a Star Wars enthusiast. I have seen every movie. I've seen every movie more than once. I enjoy them, but I don't know everything. So it's going to be a fun mix of you guys saying your thoughts and me going, well, wait a second, what does this mean? And we're going to appeal to a mass viewership in this way, I think. So
yeah, for sure.
We're going to get to know Tyson and Alex a little bit before we jump in. First of all, fun fact. I'm an only child. And so are Tyson and Alex.
We are.
And so is Sharif, who does the brackets with me. Apparently, guys, if you have siblings, you're not allowed on the show. Sorry. You can't be on the show.
It's a bit extreme, but okay.
Just kidding. It's just kind of funny. We are going to share our favorite Star Wars film and our favorite Star Wars character, and then we're going to jump in.
Got it.
It's going to give them a flavor for who you really are.
Yeah.
All right, who wants to go first?
Go ahead.
Well, I am the light side over here, and Alex is the dark side. So light side will start first. Favorite movie, it's not the most popular one, but Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi is the one I really loved for my childhood and bought ticket after ticket and went 3 days in a row to go see it. And so
that's telling them how old he is.
Yes, it is. It is. I am the eldest of the clan here. But so Return of the Jedi by far my favorite. My most favorite person in all is Obi-Wan Kenobi. I love he's the wise, the sage. He's you see how he's in his older age. He's just so leadership and everything. And then you go to the prequels and you got to see the raw Obi-Wan Kenobi.
And it's Ewan McGregor, and he is so awesome.
He is awesome. I agree. He's great. But I love all Alec Guinness. I love all the Obi-Wan Kenobi. So they're great.
All right, Alex.
All right. The only thing we might agree on this entire time is the favorite movie. I'm also a Return of the Jedi fan. Absolutely. Yes. I remember watching it at home as a young kid on VHS, so that dates me a little bit.
Yeah.
And just loving the entire storyline, loving how it wrapped up the original trilogy. And it also leads into why Darth Vader is my favorite character. I love the redemptive arc of Vader. I will say, as much as you like Obi-Wan from the prequels, I don't love prequel Vader, but that's okay. We'll survive. But
they gave you Rogue One. They gave you Rogue One scene.
But we're not here to talk about the prequels. That could be a whole other episode. And I'm shocked because we did not talk about this ahead of time. My favorite film is also Return of the Jedi.
All right.
Hey.
I also love the redemption of Anakin at the end of that film. Yes. And who doesn't love the Ewoks? I'm sorry, but I love them so much. I want to hug them and squeeze them.
Chief Chirpa and Wicket. Grab your heart.
And, I love them.
Do.
So, in fact, I have, look.
Oh, there's a little Wicket W work right there.
Gonna hold on to him. So, and then I was thinking about my favorite character, because we were talking about this the other day, and I wasn't sure. I feel like you aren't gonna like who I picked.
Maybe.
I was thinking about all the characters and all the big ones. I'm like, yeah, I like them, but you know who I really like, and I feel like he's awesome?
I want to tell you there's only one character that you can be 1,000% wrong with.
Okay, then I think I'm good. I really like Galen Erso.
Your favorite, though?
I really, really love how he had to be so strong to do what he did. He said in his little hologram message, he's like, I could have tried to leave. I could have escaped. I could have even killed myself, but I knew they were going to do it anyway. And I knew that I had to do the hard thing. And yes, what a hard thing he did. Like, how many years? 15 years?
Long
He
time.
pretended to be one of them.
Yeah.
He built that. I mean, nothing would have been possible without him.
It's true.
There you go.
By the way, Jar Jar Binks was the wrong
What's
answer.
the wrong
Yes.
answer?
That you
No,
cannot
I
say.
wouldn't
Another
have
thing
said.
we agree on.
I
Right there.
just know you're not a huge Rogue One fan, so I figured you'd be like, psh.
No,
can't say Galen
he's a
Erso.
good character. Just favorite?
I can find nothing wrong with him. I
Solid.
like, and Mads Mikkelsen is always a bad guy, but he
True.
played a good guy in this. I know that has nothing to do
good.
with
He
his
was
character,
good.
but
I can appreciate that you didn't pick one of the like token favorites. I'm
Yeah,
just gonna
exactly.
Say. So,
yeah, I
well done,
put
well
some
done.
thought into it, you guys.
We did.
Okay, so without further ado,
Yeah.
we got a feel for who we're dealing with today. Now we're gonna start disagreeing about things, and it's really, really exciting. We haven't talked about anything.
Yeah, you forbid us
We
to.
have not exchanged
Yes.
notes. I have not watched any other reviews, read any other reviews, because I didn't even want that to like influence my thoughts. I know you have.
Have read and watched
No.
all of them. I
No.
think.
Very,
Okay.
very minimal. Yep.
So I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, like let's start with the things we liked about the movie, about Rise of Skywalker. Do you think that's cool?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, who wants to start? And by the way, I'm gonna let you guys kind of like run with it, and
Okay.
I will interject here and there
Sure,
because
yeah.
I am still processing, and I feel like just so much happened.
I think we all are. To be
Yeah,
honest
there's
with
a lot in there.
Okay,
Yeah.
so who wants to go first?
Go ahead.
All right, so
Your list is probably shorter.
but probably. So what I liked about the movie, there was a great. For Star Wars movies, two things need to happen for me to really enjoy them. Number one, I need some lightsaber battles. I need duels
Okay.
to go on,
Check.
and I feel really good about that. You know, Phantom Menace, you have one of the great lightsaber battles
Yeah.
of all time,
Absolutely.
and that made the movie for me, right? And so I saw, even though they were short, I felt they were too short. They were good, and I felt they were done well.
Yep.
Number two was space battles.
Yep.
I love space battles, and when they're chasing after the Falcon, and like and we start doing light speed jumps, like I thoroughly enjoyed that moment. So I really, really like that a lot. Yes.
See that?
Was this the first movie where we've seen light skipping or whatever, what Poe did, where he's like skipping through?
Movie, yes, but it's been done previously in the Star Wars.
Okay, because
in-
I was
in the
like,
EU.
I think
Yeah.
this is new. I've
Yeah.
never seen this before.
Effectively, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. But that wasn't anything like weird, like, oh, they just wrote that into for their narrative.
No,
That's
that's-
something that existed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, or they tried to do previously. Maybe not that existed, but they've tried to do.
I
but
remember the lightsaber battle with Rey and Kylo, of course, but that's the only one I'm remembering.
So
What's
they
the
had
other
they
one?
had a couple of them. Number one, and number two, you have
Yeah, but what was the other one?
you have him against the Knights of
Oh, yeah.
Ren. So
Oh, I love
that was
that
really
part where
cool.
she was like this,
Like she got
and
him,
then
she
he
got him
took it.
Yeah,
Oh!
exactly. That was really good.
Quality.
So I thought both those were very well done. So I liked those. And then really the opening scene where he's going through just like he's almost like
where he's
like the
looking
Darth
for
Vader
the
scene.
He's
wayfinder or
unhinged.
whatever.
It's
Yeah.
kind of like the Darth Vader scene in Rogue One. Spoilers, but it
Yeah,
was-
guys, there's spoilers.
Yeah, just in case. There's a
Forgot
lot
to
of
mention
spoilers
that.
in this.
We've already given some.
So we'll put that in the title, right?
Yeah.
Like spoiler alert
for
for
pretty
sure.
much, we might spoil like any and all movies. So
Yes,
Very
yeah.
likely.
Depending on what
Very,
we
very
say.
likely.
Anything
Yeah.
Star Wars and probably anything not Star Wars, we'll spoil it for you here. So
okay,
All right.
Alex, your thoughts, things that you liked.
Okay, I was going to go even bigger than that. I'll say something that might be controversial. This will get you riled up. I think it was my favorite movie of that trilogy.
oh man.
Yeah.
Just to preface, Alex and I are friends also. So
We may not be after
we may not
this,
seem
but-
like this, but we are friends
We're
too.
all
But
friends.
we
We're all
are.
friends, even if we have different opinions. Okay.
And here's why. I think the first two movies, Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, really lacked a good villain. I do not
can see
think
that.
that Kylo Ren is particularly compelling.
Snoke.
He's Snoke isn't even hardly there.
Yeah.
I think Kylo Ren is just kind of a moody teenager, to be honest with you. And there's nothing really, instilling the conflict in the plot there. But that's why I like Palpatine so much, because he is the villain of all villains. He's the villain of all
Throughout the whole thing, apparently.
through all of it, through the prequels technically,
Yeah.
through the OG trilogy,
Yes.
and this one.
Agree.
I'm going to let you continue.
Yeah.
I told my kids when we were going home, I was like, man, we all need to have the stick-to-itiveness of the Emperor. It's like, that guy
He's got staying power.
That's
legitimately failed failed so many times too, and like all these apprentices he went through, and he's just like, no, nothing will stop me. I will. And even like, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm like, what was his problem? He was already the chancellor of the galaxy. Like, wasn't he already the most powerful person?
It's
like,
the dark side.
what was his problem?
that.
Why did he have to like, whatever? I guess I just don't understand
Search for
motives
unlimited
of
power.
bad guys,
Yeah.
and sometimes like the motives of bad guys don't always make sense to me. So
Yeah, understood. But I think that the movie was appropriately dark because of that. The other ones were very Disney, and that's not a bad thing. But they had a very different tone than what I remember about Jedi and some other facets of that movie that I really
It was
liked.
Empire. He was trying to make the darkest movie since Empire. And
Indeed.
he's quoted saying that. So
Absolutely.
He did.
And that really grabbed my attention. Aside from that, I'm a space battle guy, 100%. That's a big checklist item for me. I don't know. Those are the big ones.
And it seems like overall, big picture, you genuinely enjoyed the film if it was your favorite of that trilogy.
Yes.
Let's go ahead and rank the trilogy. Well, first, I guess I should say what I liked about it.
Yep, go for it.
Like I said, I'm still processing. I was entertained. I felt like there was a lot going on. I felt like there was a lot going on that was kind of like out of left field too. I don't know.
I have a theory about that.
A little discombobulated the movie was, right?
Thank you, Yoda. Very discombobulated it was.
Trying to stay in character.
It was discombobulated. Now I'm starting to get into things I didn't like. It was entertaining as a big picture. Now, let's go ahead and let's why don't we rank this trilogy? I'll start.
Yep.
I would actually rank it in the order that they are. I would say 7, 8, 9. Boom, boom, boom. Would be like 7's my favorite, 8, then 9. Sorry. And 9 was actually my least favorite of this trilogy.
I would agree. Like 9 and 8 are just so bottom of the pit for me because 8 they just did Luke wrong, and Luke's my second favorite all-time character.
Okay.
And then 9. Well, I'll talk later about why I feel 9 is, but
Okay.
I would probably go 7, 8, 9 too.
Okay.
I'm the complete opposite.
9, 8, 7.
Yep.
We're going back. I love Force Awakens. I feel like it's so
agree.
fun. It's just fun.
It's a New Hope 2.0.
Yeah, it is.
That's
it is, but
that's
it's
my
just
greatest
so
qualm
fun.
with it.
It's just, I don't know.
I can see that too.
I'm not saying it's not fun, but it's a carbon copy for another generation. And
And I
that
don't-
doesn't speak to me necessarily.
I don't think there's any Star Wars that you dislike. So even
Oh, yeah,
saying that
that goes
7 is
without
the
saying
bottom
on all
of
of
this
these.
trilogy, like you still...
I still saw it, I think, 6 times in the theater.
Yeah.
Right. I was discussing with Tyson before you got here that I'm like this weird generation. I was never a kid for any of the movies. But you were. You were a kid for the prequels. Like, did you go see those in the theaters?
trying to remember how- trying to remember how old I was at that
point.
point, but I didn't like grow up with the prequels. I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe it's just my family,
Yeah.
but I grew up watching the
right
original
way.
trilogy.
The right way.
Yes,
The
exactly.
right way.
Okay.
There's-
Did you have the 3? I had the 3-pack VHS.
Yep,
in
still
the
have it.
Still
black
have
have
case.
it.
Yeah.
Oh, we still don't have ours, but it was great.
Should've brought
Okay,
it.
so I guess now we need to just jump into what we didn't like.
So how long can this video be?
Okay.
Settle.
And this is where we're probably going to get into some interesting debates.
Yes,
I'm
most definitely.
Super, super interested. I feel like you should start because you probably have
Okay.
a long list.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we'll just interject.
Yeah.
And remember, we
Point,
have the
counter,
comp
point.
if we need it.
Sure. So, first of all, I want to say I did enjoy the movie. I did enjoy it. If I could have taken away my Star Wars nerdiness and knowledge of like Legends, the EU, and all of that, and really just sat and watched the movie, I probably would have had a lot of fun. But through it, I could say micro critiquing it throughout the entire thing for inconsistencies. Whenever you have two directors that and producers that do, I guess Kathleen Kennedy's the original producer. Not a fan. But whenever you had Ryan direct 2 and JJ direct 3, and JJ tried to cover up a lot of things that Ryan wanted in
And
2.
JJ did the first one too, right? He did
Right.
Force
So
Awakens?
first and
Okay.
third. Right. So he
Yeah.
bookended it. But there's there was a lot of I gotta fix this moments, and I think it made the movie disjointed.
That's what made it feel.
Yeah, I feel like that's what made it
disjointed
disjointed.
the movie is.
Yeah, disjointed
Yeah.
the movie was.
Okay.
And so that's beef number 1. Actually, beef number 2. My primary beef is your favorite character. I feel like this movie invalidates the entire Skywalker legacy. And Anakin and George Lucas said, Anakin is the chosen one. He will always be the chosen one. They cut out about, from what I understand, 65 minutes of George Lucas parts of this film. They cut out. And so it lends to be that Anakin was for nothing.
How involved was he in this film, George Lucas?
Oh, he was supposed to be involved like heavily, and
Correct.
they cut everything out.
Really?
Yeah. So
I can see what you're saying because yes, we do really enjoy the redemptive arc of
love
Anakin, and that he was the chosen one, and he did ultimately bring balance to the Force. Spoiler alert for Return of the Jedi when he throws the Emperor down the well, and that was supposed to kill him. Yes.
Right. So I think
Valid.
that's,
Valid, sir.
So
Valid point.
that's what eats at my heart, because if you invalidate Anakin, you invalidate Luke Skywalker and Leia and all of that because it was the Skywalkers bringing the Jedis to prominence, redeeming the Force, taking down the dark side once and for all. He was the chosen one. And so I feel like it just invalidates all of that. And
So this,
that's my
I
big
guess,
problem.
is one hiccup with not talking about it earlier is I haven't had a thought to like try and come up with a rebuttal for that. Do you have any type of rebuttal for that?
Being a Darth Vader fan, I mean,
why
that's
does it make
right,
it
yeah.
okay that that the Emperor came back and then someone else took him down? Like, wouldn't then Rey be the chosen?
Yeah. Well,
And then I'll give you the fix to it after I hear what he
Okay.
says. Yeah.
yeah.
Because that's
So-
always important. Sorry, Alex. That's always that's always important because
Alex, you'll get to talk next
I
episode.
feel like it's not
I'm
fair.
taking. I need the conch shot.
Mine right now. I feel like it's not fair to just like have some negative comment, but then not have a solution for it.
Totally. I don't actually need it. It's okay.
Yeah.
I have to keep my helmet on.
Okay.
I don't disagree with that because that is in fact true. I don't think you can even have this movie without throwing that away, though. I guess is what I'm getting at. Like, offer me a better villain, a better solution. I don't know. I don't know if it would be cohesive enough. That also pokes holes in a whole lot of other parts of the movie if you eliminate that too, obviously. But yeah, I don't know.
So I'll give you my how it should have been.
Okay.
So
Screenwriter's hat, here it comes.
Darth Plagueis, who was Darth Sidious or the Emperor's.
I know who that is.
That's good. That's good. I would like for him to be the one that's pulling the strings.
Ooh,
Yep.
that would
And
have been
then
interesting.
he's trying to get lure Rey in because she is Palpatine's granddaughter to get revenge for Palpatine trying to kill him, supposedly killing him.
Yeah.
And then a Skywalker, Ben Solo, who's converted back now, and a Palpatine take him down together. And granted, I'm a happy ending guy. I'm sorry. And then Ben Solo and Rey go off and they start a new Jedi Academy and everyone's happy. And I think that Star Wars fans would have been like, a Skywalker lineage goes on.
Yep.
Rey turned to good and is redemptive, and everything that Anakin did is
You
still.
mean Ren turned to good. You said Rey.
Well, no, Rey is still good. And
Oh, I thought you said-
Kylo Ren has been Solo now, so he's good, right?
Okay.
So they go start a Jedi Temple, and then the Darth Plagueis, who would have been made a good villain, is taken down, and that doesn't invalidate what Anakin did. Anakin
Are you
still
sure though?
killed
Because
the,
he was,
killed the,
but he wasn't foretold to kill this particular human. He was foretold to bring balance to the Force, and doesn't, even if it's a different villain, doesn't Rey taking them down still bring balance to the Force?
No, because he did bring balance to the Force during that time. He killed the
during
Emperor.
that time. Well, then even
And
if
then
you're saying
Plagueis comes up later and unbalances the Force again, and then it takes a Palpatine and a Skywalker to take
The dark
him down.
rises, the light spreads.
Yeah.
And I knew that he was gonna hate. You probably hate that Ben died. Because
I
he doesn't like anyone
despise
dying.
that Ben died.
He doesn't think anyone should die in any movie
No,
ever.
no.
Yes, it's true.
When
It's
Darth Vader
true.
died, Darth Vader was one of the greatest deaths in cinematic history.
Yep.
When he died in Luke's arms after redeeming himself, he just sits there and then the body burns. And I mean, it's perfect, perfect moment.
Exactly.
Okay.
Perfect.
The two things that I thought were predictable in this movie. As soon as Ben turned back to good, I was like, well, he can no longer live. He has to sacrifice himself somehow.
Because he's done bad things to redeem himself or something?
Right. Well, there's just no way that anyone's going to be like, oh, you're good now? Awesome. We're going to welcome you.
Right.
Like, he was so bad for so long. I'm like, he's going to have to do some sort of epic, amazing sacrifice. And then when Rey did die, and they start pulling away. I'm like, oh, his hand's gonna pop up. He's gonna come and he's gonna do the
Yeah.
whole life force thing. I'm gonna give you my life force.
Because that's what turned him.
Yeah, that's
Be
right.
honest.
That's what healed him.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I just those were the two things to me that were super predictable. But I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it, even though you're not. You don't like people dying. What are Alex's thoughts on some of these things? Let's give him a chance to
I agree.
I kind of wish. I know you're like a happy ending kind of guy. I wish they would have completely flipped that. I know they're not gonna do it because
Like Palpatine wins?
No, that Rey would have died and Ben would have lived on.
well, and maybe that Ben would have never turned. I would have loved something like that.
That he's still bad.
or never gone back to the good side. That
Okay.
that Kylo Ren stays. That he doesn't follow the Vader arc. I
I
guess.
could have got behind that. Like
Right.
the
Either way,
family
he still
switch.
has to die.
The
Either
family
way,
switch,
he
like
still has to
Palpatines
die.
are good now and Skywalker's are bad. I could have even gotten a little bit behind that. Sure. It would have hurt me, but I could have understood it.
Yeah.
But I agree, yeah.
There were a lot of things that I could predict. I kind of called that Rey was a Palpatine because
Really?
I didn't think there was any way that, like, one of the other popular theories is that she's a Kenobi.
I wanted her to be a
which I would have
Kenobi
loved.
so
That would have been
I
so
know,
awesome.
but there's
I would have wept tears of joy.
I that was like from Force
Yeah.
Awakens day one. I was like, please let her be like Obi-Wan.
I think
Kenobi's
that would
my
have
daughter.
like tarnished the image of Obi-Wan to a certain extent because it breaks the all the Jedi code
Yeah,
stuff.
but after like the whole Anakin thing went down, was he really still? I mean, I guess
But
he
think
was
of
a
how
Jedi,
much-
but the Jedi Council was gone. Like all the rest of the Jedi. Sorry, you're
Yeah.
gonna get to talk now.
I'm just saying, think of how hard
You're right.
Obi-Wan was on Anakin about all those things.
You're right.
To have him go outside all that stuff would have ruined a great character in my opinion.
Which is why Obi-Wan can't be my favorite character because he did annoy me how hard he was on Anakin, and I.
You gotta watch the Clone Wars. You gotta watch the Clone Wars.
Yeah, I've never seen the Clone Wars, but I just felt like in the prequels,
That
he's
makes
like
it make
so
sense.
hard on him. And then there's this like person who seems nice telling him he's so great, you're so amazing, and so talented. Like, of course he's gonna turn and want to be with the Emperor.
You got to set that up somehow.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, now a question.
Yeah.
You're gonna
Answer,
think
answer,
this is
answer.
brilliant. Well, probably not. They're working on like an Obi-Wan series, right?
Yep.
Right?
They are.
This is
They're working-
happening. Confirmed to be happening. Like, right?
They're working on it. The Mace Windu series is gonna come first. And they're working on, I don't know if you heard this just came out like in the past 2 days. They're gonna be doing a Star Wars Legends. So there's another trilogy coming. They're gonna announce in January who's directing the new trilogy and what it's called. But
it's not part of the Skywalker Saga. It's like
we
a
don't know.
new
Don't know.
trilogy.
Yeah.
Don't know. So
They kept saying this was the end.
like
of the
Keanu
saga.
Reeves is supposed to be in it, and
What?
yeah, Keanu Reeves is supposed to be in it. So there's
Dodging blasters.
yeah, I don't know, but he seems pretty busy with John Wick and Matrix. But
Yeah.
maybe he finds time to do Star Wars. Why not? But I think also there's going to be an expanded. They're going to do lots of novelizations and cartoons and live series about the Legends, which is the expanded universe.
Well,
which
where I'm going
Mandalorian
with
falls
this
in.
is that something needs to be done to explain. Like, I think there's a whole show or a whole story somewhere with Palpatine's son, who is Rey's father. Like, and how that all went
Triclops.
down. Huh?
And his name is Triclops. Like in the.
Oh, he has a name?
They can change that. Yeah, he's a mutant,
That's a
really.
horrible
But he didn't
name.
look like it. He looked really handsome in the movie.
Okay,
but,
so maybe
it
they
was,
already
They're
have
throwing out a
told
lot of
this
that
story.
stuff.
Yeah, I think they're
Maybe
probably
they already
overwriting some
have
of
they
that.
already told this story, and I just am unaware.
They did, yeah. It was in a there was some lineage. There was actually some comic books at Dark Horse that they told, and some books that actually talked about his son Triclops. He married a Jedi princess. They had actually a grandson,
Right.
and he was trained in the ways of the Jedi.
So none of
but-
this
so-
is canon.
Well,
It
that
is-
was canon, but
This is now.
now
Until
because
Disney-
kind of, yeah, it's kind of they're pushing stuff
Listen,
aside. So
we don't say bad things about Disney here.
okay, I'm not
So
saying it's
Disney?
bad. I'm just saying
YouTube
they're
channel.
pushing it away. So.
Okay, but now that they have
As long as you don't
pushed that
mention
away.
her name that should not be named, that I already said, we're fine. You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I think that would be super duper interesting to like
It would be.
to see that for
Agreed.
people like me who haven't read every single piece.
I would like to see it on a TV or big screen or
I'm
cartoon
sure it'll
too.
work its way in somewhere. They'll close the gap between that in one way or another.
Okay. So other random thoughts with Tyson, Melanie, and Alex. What do we?
I'll give you something else I really loved about it.
Oh.
I'm a Poe Dameron fan. Like Han Solo is probably my third favorite character, and so when Han Solo died, like physical tears manifested themselves in my eyes, so much that my sons made fun of me for crying during the movie. But Poe Dameron's my new Han Solo. He's not the same, but he's Han Solo.
Well, we can't be the same. Yeah.
You know,
I get it.
so I really liked Poe Dameron struggle. He's been cocky, and like you saw his human side this time, and you saw a little bit of his awesomeness. Like we're gonna light speed skip. Here we go, and he didn't hit anything, and like his flying skills were amazing.
Yeah.
And I loved that. I love that aspect. And then you saw his like vulnerability when he's flying. He's like, no one's gonna come. I'm sorry, y'all. And it set up the movie. And that's the one time I got goosebumps in the whole movie is when he's like, I don't know, and they're like, Lando comes on.
We're
You're not alone. Boom,
that was
they'll
the
come
very
in. I'm
end
like,
game on your left feeling
yeah.
to it.
Very true.
I totally lost my thought. Yeah, okay. What about you? I was going to say something that whole time. I forgot.
This is more of a trilogy-wide kind of thought, but it was definitely confirmed in this movie that there are a lot of throwaway characters that they tried to make something really special out of.
Yeah, I know.
Like Finn stinks. There's like nothing.
He's gonna be a Jedi. You know he is.
I know, but I determined all he does is yell really loud.
Yep.
Rey. Blah, blah.
Yeah.
I was like, then what are you doing? He's not really doing much.
And here's one of my bigger beefs about the movie is that I felt the dialogue was really like unnatural and forced and stale. Like it was just kind of.
They had to do a lot of reshoots. They did a lot of reshoots, a lot of rewrites, and even in November they were reshooting some of the stuff. So.
And they're still piecing together footage from when Carrie Fisher was alive.
Yeah,
and trying to make all that.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
is another beef.
Yeah.
Like here's the deal: whenever anybody else has died, they Force Ghost, right? You saw.
Right.
Kylo Ren, when he has been solo, fades away, Force Ghost. Luke does it.
Right.
Leia's body stayed there for a long time.
For a while. Was it because it was...
Until
it didn't
Ben
Force
passed.
Until Ben passed, right. So
yeah, it was like
I think that's just like a symbiotic
limbo.
like closure sort of thing more than anything. I do wish that they would have given her a little bit more of a shining like final moment because it was like, oh, Leia knows what she has to do now, and boom, we don't see her face anymore. It's like, okay, they're out of footage, and I get that there's a lot of complication with that, but I love her as like an actress and a character, and I feel like it was just kind of one note ultimately for her in the end.
I'll tell you my favorite scene of the whole movie.
Oh,
I gotta
okay.
spit this out. The CGI wasn't the greatest, and I know people are gonna blast the CGI. When young Luke and young Leia
I was going to
training
ask
together,
about that, what the general thoughts were about
I wanted
that.
to stand up and just start clapping.
Really?
I love that part. And then when Rey said, "I'm Rey Skywalker," I physically stood up. My wife is not happy about this. I physically stood up and said, "No, you're not."
Okay.
And everyone looked at me in the theater.
I didn't like that either.
Yeah.
So
What did you think about that? I didn't like the end at all. How she went back to Tatooine
It's
and
total
like
fan
buried
service,
the...
but I didn't like it.
Because
I did not
Rise
care
of
for it.
Skywalker, that means the rise of Rey. That's all it means because she's the rise of Skywalker. But it's like, I don't know.
She's not a Skywalker, but it's what Skywalker
But then again,
embodies,
did
et
the
cetera,
rise
et
of
cetera.
Skywalker actually mean Kylo Ren and that he rose to the occasion?
No, Kathleen
since he
Kennedy
has
said
that...
it's all about Rey. It stimulates Rey. Yeah, that's. So
I don't know about that.
And then Luke and Leia sitting there going,
yeah, that
way to
was
be a
really...
Skywalker.
It was
No.
almost like,
Yeah.
well, to me, it was almost like they were there because she feels like they're the parents that she never had, kind of,
Yeah.
because they trained her.
Yeah,
so
that's
that's why she's
cool,
saying like she's
but-
an adoptive, maybe Skywalker, and she's always looking for her name. But then Finn didn't have a name either. Didn't bother him.
No.
yeah.
I didn't like the CGI thing.
The CGI was
Well,
bad. I know it
it's
was.
not. It's
I know
not
it was,
because
but-
of the CGI. It just, I don't know. It's part of like Return of the Jedi again, where they realize that they're brother and sister, and they have this connected thing. Seeing Leia like train with a lightsaber just didn't really make sense. Obviously she had one.
Yeah.
But it doesn't fit the mold of like the senator, the politician type, but one that is always, less aggressive. I guess she is always a little bit more reserved in the way that she kind of uses the Force, I guess.
Yeah.
So it felt a little out of left field for me.
I'm on his side here. I felt, as a person who hasn't read every single thing, I was like, what? She has a lightsaber? And what? She was training to be a Jedi?
Yeah.
What? Like,
Yeah.
this was brand new information that felt very like, we have to write this in because to make everything else make sense.
I actually pulled that in as there are several. Here, we're going to give you a teaspoonful of good stuff that you've known before.
Right.
I mean, that comes out of stuff that's already been published, right? That she trains as a Jedi and things.
Okay,
so
see,
they're
this
kind
was
of
things I didn't
giving
know.
you a little bit of we gave you this stuff that you don't really agree with, but here's a little teaspoonful of something that's happened before, so you feel good, right? And, but I'll also say something else that I really enjoyed. I did enjoy the yellow lightsaber at the end.
Yeah.
So that she made her own.
Okay, that was going to ask, did she make that?
Yeah, she made it.
Because having just watched Return of the Jedi when Vader's like, oh, you have constructed your own lightsaber.
Yeah.
You have completed your training.
Yeah.
Right, and so I was like, oh, maybe she made it herself.
Well, that's because why she said she couldn't take Luke's lightsaber. She hadn't earned it yet, right?
Right.
Okay.
So now she feels like she's earned.
That's
so
part
she
of the
makes
rite
her
of
own.
passage of
Right,
Jedi.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so there's only one other time when you see a yellow lightsaber in the whole entire universe, which is the actual Jedi Temple guards use yellow lightsabers. And so they, they're the protectors of everything. They were the protectors of the Jedi Temple, so protected everything about the Jedi. So there's two theories. Either she made a yellow one because she feels like she's protecting all of the Jedi now.
Okay.
Or it's kind of like, what two colors make yellow? I mean, what can you mix together?
Red and
green, right?
Red and green don't make yellow. What?
Sure they do.
Sure.
So if you have that, then it's really cool.
Yellow and red make orange. Like, no two colors make yellow.
Yeah, sure they do. So look it up.
Put in the comments below if you think what colors make yellow.
Light Tyson up. It's okay.
Just let me have a theory. Let me have a theory.
Do not make yellow.
Let me have a theory.
Whatever.
But she's kind of taken her travel through the dark side and her travel through the light side and putting them together that she's come through it.
Okay. So we have only scratched the surface. I feel like we probably could talk a whole lot more, but like final thoughts and rank the movie like 1 out of 10. Who wants to go first? You.
7.5 out of 10.
Okay, 7.5. I'll go. We should go like this.
Are we ranking it pure enjoyment wise, or are we ranking it like how we rate it in the Star Wars?
I mean, this is a movie
saga?
review, so like people maybe are like, should I go see this movie? I don't know.
Okay, all right.
So I would say enjoyment
Okay.
wise. And I feel like I go a little bit lower than you, but you really liked the movie. And better than average, I would say 6.
I'm going to surprise people. I'm going to say a 7.5 out of 10. I don't agree with a lot of the content of the movie, but was it enjoyable? Yes. My wife loved it. She's not as near in depth in Star Wars. I know your children loved it.
Oh, yeah, they loved it.
So
They loved it.
I know it is Star Wars for another generation, and it served that purpose. And so I would say, was I entertained? If I wasn't nitpicking it, yes, I was. I had, like, right when I would get down and be like, oh, I can't, oh, that's really cool. I had a lot of those moments in there, so.
And a final thought for me would be Walt Disney World, get a Zori Bliss character experience
my
right now. I want my picture with Zori Bliss. She is so cool. I loved her.
I loved her compatriot. He's the new Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
The little guy,
Yep.
whatever his
New
name
Baby
was,
Yoda.
he was adorable.
The new Baby Yoda.
Any other thoughts?
My 7.5 is very different from yours. I
Exactly,
think
yeah.
like on a scale of Return of the Jedi being nearly perfect,
Yes.
if we can agree on that,
Yes.
as like a 10 or nearly there. This is a really good movie, but still obviously not without its own flaws. But I think like it ranks very well in the whole of the Star Wars trilogy. So.
A lot of plot holes, but
But again, they had to deal with a lot of screenwriting
They did.
gobbledygook to get it there, and I think they did a pretty good job in the end. Holes aside.
no.
Any final thoughts from you?
Yeah, how could Palpatine go down so easy? He survived, he sucked the life force out, and like 2 lightsabers reflecting his own lightning back killed him. Come on. Emperor would just force pushed her away. And
I mean, I
done
have so many
whatever.
questions about how
But,
he even
you
came
know.
back in the first place.
Yeah.
For like another time, you guys are going to have to educate me because I'm like, how? And what is he hooked up to? And what is going on?
Yeah.
And I also did not so much like you're talking about throwaway characters. He's like, I made Snoke, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, that was lame. Okay, anyway. My final thoughts are go see the movie.
You should go see it, yeah.
Go see the movie. Because if
Think
you've
she uses
seen...
that on us?
Don't tell them. If you've seen the other ones, you have to go see this one. It finishes everything. It is the end of the Skywalker Saga. So until next time, this is Melanie and Tyson and Alex saying we'll see you at the movies.
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
Indeed.